Hi, band guys. It's Mr. Y, obviously, here to talk today about practice rule number 3, think it first. When we talk about think it first, number 3, of course, we're really talking about audiation. To audiate is to hear music in your head that doesn't actually exist in the physical world. It doesn't actually exist. You can't actually hear it out loud. It's not in the world. It just exists in your own brain. Okay? The same way you can picture something in your head. If I ask you to right now visualize, say, your kitchen table, okay, or your desk at home, or maybe your parents' car, okay, you can picture that in your head right now, even though they don't actually physically exist where you are. Although I guess you might be sitting at your kitchen table right now. Anyway, you can picture those in your head without them actually being there. The same way you should be able to audiate music in your head without it actually being there. If I ask you to do, say, if I ask you to audiate Happy Birthday, you could go, you can hear that in your head. Okay. If I ask you to do Ode to Joy, you can do that. Hot Cross Buns, you can hear that in your head without it actually being there. So we do something in band we call mental practice. Mental practice is practicing everything on your music, every aspect of your music, except for actually making a sound. It's practicing in your head. This can come in really handy, by the way, if you are practicing someplace where you can't make a lot of noise. Like, say, for instance, after your little sister's gone to sleep at night or something like that. Okay, so when you do mental practice, obviously, number one, you're going to check the key signature, just like in practice rule number 2. We talked about that in the last video. You're going to also play through the scale that you're going to do. So say you have a C scale on the trumpet, you would be doing, at this point, you'd be, picturing the notes in your head, and also, I like to say the letters too. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So you can kind of hear that in your head, even though you're not actually producing the sound. You can audiate that, okay? Then you're going to slowly finger through the song. So when you look at the notes on the page, you're going to say, okay, well, let's see, I got the B flats there, so I got to make sure to play B flat all the way through. Let's see. You understand you'd be doing all this all in your head. You wouldn't actually be doing this out loud. I'm just doing it out loud. Show. You should be able to hear all that song in your head. Okay. Again, it's a really good skill to be able to develop this. Once you can look at the little black dots on the page and kind of hear the song a little bit, at least in your head, even if it's not perfect, but if you can hear kind of the contour of it and the ups and downs and the pitches and the rhythms and that kind of thing, you're going to have a much easier time reading it. Okay. Audiating music and mentally practicing it is a little bit like reading silently in your head. When you look at a page full of words, you can hear those words in your head without actually saying them out loud. So you can read to yourself, so to speak. Audiation, and when you're doing it with notation at least, is an awful lot like reading to yourself, except you're reading music in your head to yourself. Okay. I've always thought that if you really can't hear the song, at least in your head, if you can't sing the song, at least in your head, you're not really going to be able to play it very well. Okay. There was a famous cellist named Pablo Casals, and somebody asked him one time, Maestro, how do you learn a new piece of music? And he said, well, I take the sheet music, and I go to my chair, and I sit down, and I learn the music, and then I pick up my cello and I play it. Okay. To be able to audiate the music is a really, really important skill. Like I said, I don't think if you can sing it, at least in your head, then I don't think you really can play it. Now, you'll notice, by the way, I didn't say anything about the quality of your sound. Okay, I'm not saying you have to sing like an opera star. I'm not saying you have to sing like a Broadway star. You don't need to be Kristen Chenoweth here. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Quite often, when I get up in the morning, I sound like a pregnant hippo. That's just the way it is. Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, that's why I do it in my head, probably, right? Also, one last thing about this. Remember, mental practice will have every aspect of your music except for your sound. To practice your sound, of course, you do a lot of long notes. That really helps with your sound. But to practice getting a good sound and to build a good sound, you have to actually produce sound. We can't do that just in your head. Okay, that doesn't work that way. So mental practice is great for all the other aspects of your music. The rhythm, the pitch, the audiation, obviously, of course. It's really good for all that stuff. It's not actually good for building your sound and producing a good sound. You have to do that by making actual sound. Go back to, practice rule number 1, practice long notes. Warm up by playing long notes. That's really the way that you practice. That's really the way that you produce a good sound. Okay? Good luck with it. Thanks very much. See you next time.